Hello and welcome to another episode of the Leverage Podcast. I am your host, John Davidson, and today we are talking Texas. I have an iconic real estate broker associate with me, Camille Abbott from Cooper Sotheby's International Realty. Camille, thank you for joining me on the show today. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you.
How is the weather in Austin, Texas today?
In a word, hot.
It's the same in Dallas. Yeah, it is heating up around here, isn't it?
That was the way it was yesterday and the day before and the day before.
Yep. Well, I think Austin has some beautiful rivers and lakes in the area, right? So it's a great opportunity to go enjoy those things. But first, to get started, Camille, please tell me exactly what you do.
Well, obviously, I sell real estate. Um, been in residential real estate since 1984 in the Austin area. And I also, not only residential real estate, but I really love getting out in Texas on the ranches and selling Texas and the ranches, and particularly horse properties.
I love that. And you yourself have quite a bit of a horse riding background, if I have that right.
I do. I
Tell
do.
me about that.
Well, my husband, for a Christmas present, gave me 5 private riding lessons. And he was sure that that would be the end of that. And that's 20 years ago. And
Amazing.
I ride cutting horses competitively. And I've had 2 champions. And I've got a 3-year-old coming up that I am planning on riding in his 4-year-old year. And then I also have a 22-year-old practice horse. And so
Wow.
that has been really, really fun. And it also helps me in terms of talking about real estate, because not every property, just because it's land, is a horse property. So that's been
Oh,
really
good
fun.
point.
That's been really fun. And it meshes right in with residential real estate.
What makes a horse property?
Well, it's not just the land. Not all land is suitable for horses. Just because it's fenced doesn't mean that it's perfect for that. The
Hmm.
dirt is an interesting aspect of it. Here in Austin, when you go east, the dirt is typically sand, and it's easier on their feet. There's typically more to eat if you head east. The hill country, while it's absolutely one of my favorite spots, is very difficult in terms of keeping a horse, because it is rock. And so the horses don't really have a real place to graze. So that comes into play. If there's a barn or someplace for horses, and what about that barn? And I have learned this, and I am very much this way myself. If a property is has a house on it, that's great, but it's probably secondary to what the barn is. The
Ah,
barn, you want the stalls to be big and airy. You need turnouts. You need good ventilation. It can't just be just a little something. Where the horses are going to live is really important, and so you look at all of that, and then there's all the other aspects of the land in terms of where is water coming from, because in the hill country that's really important. Um, and so you're looking for things like that, and you got to know it's not just does it have the possibility, might have the possibility to have horses, but is it really suited to horses?
that's a great insight. And, now is that something that are your clients typically aware of all of these things when they own horses, or are these some things that you have to share with them that are new, saying, hey, you really got to focus on the land and the barn and all of these things?
It depends on how long they've had a horse. It depends on if this is their first horse property, and it's a little bit of education,
Yeah.
because if you look through ads, you'll always see an ad that says suitable for horses, or this is a horse property. Well,
Mhm.
you call the agent, you go, what exactly does that mean? Because not all properties are suitable for horses. And so it kind of depends on your client as you're whom you're working with. And if they're a seller of a horse property, it's really important that we put that in the very best light possible, because the dressage
Good
arena
point.
is not always the same thing for person who does working cow horse or cutters, because all those people need cows.
Yeah.
So you got to look and see what they're looking for. And if it's a seller, that barn needs to be in really tip top shape, because the person looking at it is looking through the eyes of where their horses are going to live. And like me, I mean, it's really important to me where my horses live.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a great point. I mean, when you're selling the house, you're focusing so much on the house, right? And making
Right.
sure everything is up to date and everything looks great. And so it's a great reminder for our listeners. Don't forget to look in the back and make sure
Exactly.
that every part of that barn is on point, because like any, pet owner, we care so much about the, the experience that our pets are having,
Exactly.
especially in a new home, right?
Exactly.
Well, it's a great example there, Camille, about how your personal passion and your personal life is so well integrated into your professional life. Share a little bit for our listeners about the benefits of adding in a little bit of personality, and who you are outside of the office into life in the office as well.
Well, I think it's critical that you do that. It's part of being real, and I think that I know my clients. That's one of the things they value is being real, and they also know. I've had two or three people tell me this. We don't always like what you've got to say, but we know it's the truth because you're going to tell us the truth.
Mm,
And I really value that. I value that a lot. And when you're doing something outside of the office that you're passionate about, and you're typically helping those people that, whether for a long time it was the theater for me, still is. When you're helping those people that have those common interests, it's just fun.
yeah.
Um, I have a client right now, and she has horses, and we're looking at putting their house on the market. And we have a very difficult time staying on point with real estate conversations because we get so excited about the horses,
I
and that's
bet.
really, really fun. And my professional relationship, like particularly in the horse world, I've sponsored things for the association as a member of, all that kind of thing, has brought me business from places that was like, wow, that's okay. I like it. And it's fun to work with those people. So I think it's really important that, if you're a beginning agent, you find something that you are passionate about. And I also learned this when I first was invited on the board at the Paramount Theater. I didn't spend any time talking about what I did because I felt
Mm,
it was more important to listen and find out what people were talking about, kind of get the lay of the land. And because I was so passionate about saving that theater, I developed great relationships, which turned into business relationships. And there are six of us that are past presidents of the theater that every year at Christmas, this will be like year number 34, we have
wow.
gotten together before Christmas for dinner. We call ourselves the Ducks. And we've traveled together, and every year we get together for Christmas. And those people that all came out of a relationship born from the theater that became a real estate relationship that became friends. And I would tell you that 99% of my business is that kind of a relationship.
I love that. That's a great example. I've been a skateboarder my whole life.
Really?
Yeah, I got sponsored when I was 14, and I pursued the pro skateboarding dream for a number of years after high school, which took me all over the place. I was actually skateboarding this weekend, so I'm still on the board in the same way that you are still on the horse. But I can also relate to exactly what you're saying here. I remember having a conversation one time with a potential client, and you're getting to know the person, you're really trying to sell them something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But you're taking the time to really listen and get to know who they are. And then I don't know how we didn't know we were both skateboarders, but this gentleman was a former professional skateboarder. And once that came to light, it was just like nothing more had to be said. We just understood each other at such a deep, deep level because so much of our life is wrapped around skateboarding. So all just our view of the world, you know, we we fall on concrete for fun. We are unique human
Exactly.
beings, but we're the same type, right? And I have no doubt that that is true in the cutting horse world,
Definitely.
right? And probably even just like horse riding more broadly, but specifically cutting horses, right? Like you know things that I don't know that somebody else who has that same passion and experience can immediately relate to.
This is really interesting about the cutting horse world. Um, so, Yellowstone brought cutting horses to the forefront. And
Yes.
all of a sudden, everybody wanted to go to a cutting. And so I had some of my clients I went to high school with, and let me tell you, that's been a long time ago. At any rate, one of my high school friends that lives here in Austin called me and said, I'm taking my grandson to Fort Worth to a cutting. Can you tell me some things so I don't look like a fool in front of him?
Yeah.
And I did. And she was just like, oh wow, this is going to be so cool. And it is so cool.
Yeah.
There is nothing like a Texas cutting horse. I mean, they're just most incredible things ever. But it is interesting how all of that comes about. And it's just one of the things that I love best about it, because you get somebody who's on fire about horses, and it's just everything else goes away. And honestly, I think when you have this, like even at the theater, we were all so passionate about saving what I think is the best piece of real estate on Congress Avenue in Austin, Texas. We just had a blast doing it. It was so fun. And we did all kinds of silly things. And, that was back when you had phone banks and nobody minded if you called in the evening and asked them for $5 to stay at the theater.
Yeah.
So that is a huge part of how I come to be in this for so long, and how much I love doing it, because it's everybody says, well, I love the people. Well, yeah, but you got to take the time to listen and know the people, because there are some people, I mean, I've been known to fire some people because we just weren't
I
getting
believe
along.
it.
And that's no fun. It's no fun for them. It's no fun for me. You dread calling them, you dread seeing them, and they're
Yeah.
probably her again. What am I going to do? So I think that's really important.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I want to switch over to learning all about Texas. So
Ah,
you are a native Texan.
I am.
How many generations?
4.
Have four generations in Texas. And I moved to Texas about 15 and a half years ago.
Uh-huh.
Um, January 13th is my Tex anniversary, as I like to put it. Um, but Texas is such a great state. We like to say the best country in the world, right?
That's
Um, but Texas is also viewed so differently from the outside than it is on the inside. And, we're talking about horses and we're talking about Fort Worth, and that is true,
that
and that
is
is
it.
how Fort Worth is, right?
Yes.
But Dallas is very different from Fort Worth.
Yes.
Austin has its own culture.
Yes.
Houston, San Antonio,
Yes.
Lubbock, we could go on and on. There's all of these very, very different places in Texas. And, it's kind of coincidentally, the song Choosing Texas has been one of the hottest
Yes.
songs this year. And people are choosing Texas for real estate more and
Yes.
more all the time. So set us up with our audience. From your perspective, what is Texas?
Texas is a state of mind. That's for sure. Um, I am proud to be a native Texan, and you are so right. Dallas is so different from Fort Worth, and Austin is so different from Fort Worth and Dallas, and so different from San Antonio. Um, you know, I, uh, I had the, I guess, privilege of getting to compete in the horse show at the Houston Rodeo. And there was something about driving a truck and trailer down the freeway in your hometown that I just can't even begin to explain. And Houston does a really good job of welcoming people in. And I think Texas does a good job of that. When you pull into the Houston Rodeo as a contestant, I mean, they can't help you enough. They're unloading your trailer for you. They're showing you where your stall is. You know, what can we do for you? We're going to feed you. We're going to make sure you're happy. And I feel like that's kind of who we are.
Yeah.
I moved a client from West Virginia, and she said, how am I going to get my horses there? And I went, I can deal with that. And so I found her a hauler. We got them to Texas. Well, what am I going to do with this? And I said, hey, you're coming to Texas now, and we got you. We're going to take care of you.
Yeah.
And we did. And, you know, from the hill country, which has its own vibe, you know, the Comanches were out there, the Comancheria. If you read any of Texas history, you know about the Comanches in the Texas hill country down to the Gulf Coast where I grew up. I'm a native Texan. I grew up on the Gulf Coast. You know, we got out our surfboards and rode the ripples like y'all.
Yeah.
Waves. We were riding ripples. And, you know, now Port Aransas, my husband and I go every summer for a week in Port Aransas, and it's just the best. And then you go up to Fort Worth, and, you know, it's just, I mean, how can you not love Fort Worth? And we have Lubbock, and we'll leave that at that. But
there's
anyway,
a college there.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I mean,
guns up.
yeah, Texas is big and bold and welcoming. You know, Texans are quick to help. They are quick to offer a solution. And it is hot. And every year I've said I'm taking the month of July off and going somewhere cool. I have never done that. And next year we have promised ourselves again, we're going to rent a house for a month, and, you know, all the kids can come and go. But I love it here. It's my home, and it's where I love helping people find their home in Texas. And it's a whole different vibe. And you are right about what people think. Because New York City is one of my favorite places to visit. And I got in a cab there back when you got in cabs and not Ubers. And so I said something about where I was going, and the taxi cab driver went, "You're from Texas, aren't you?" And I was like, "Oh, you know that?" And he goes, "Do you have horses? Do you have oil wells?" I went, "Oh yeah, several in my backyard, several."
That's right.
But that is what people think. And I think that some of that has been perpetuated by television.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're really very educated. In Austin, we're very educated. We're very diverse. It's not just a little university town any longer. And it's not just the capital of the state. It is a booming metropolis. And I have had the good fortune to see it when it was a little bitty spot. And, you know, you work the whole city because you could. And now you don't want to work the whole city because it could take you an hour to get from one part of the city to another.
Yes. Traffic.
I think we worked on the theory, if we don't build it, they won't come. And we didn't build it, and they came anyway. And now, you know, we're still building things to move people around. And so you just know that at 5 o'clock, if you're on Mopac or Loop 1, you're going to sit there for a while. The same thing on 360. And I avoid 35 at all costs.
Yeah, you know, I've never seen, I mean, up here in Dallas, where I'm based, it seems like they build a road, and once it's finished, then they start widening it.
Yep.
You know, I always say, if you want to be a millionaire, sell a traffic cone in Texas.
Yep.
They'll fly off the shelf. So it's just, yeah, it's really something to be living here and just, you know, seeing the infrastructure begin to evolve finally. You know, I've always lived in the suburbs of Dallas, and so a friend of mine, we used to go into Dallas at night, and we would be technically opposite traffic.
Yes.
And it was amazing. This is 15 years ago, and so at first there was a thing as opposite traffic, and we'd be like, oh, we're glad we're not going the same way all those other folks are on the other side of the highway, right? And over the course of just maybe 3, 4 years, there was no such thing as opposite traffic. It's just
No.
the same way going back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. I think our airport, they're getting ready to expand our airport dramatically. They are building another terminal. You'll access it underneath the tarmac. And they're adding, I want to say, 36 gates. Well, I used to ride the bus to Austin to come see my aunt, who was a professor at UT.
Uh-huh.
And I can remember the airport was more like a bus station than an airport because, of course, then you didn't have TSA, you didn't have any of that, and you just kind of walked in and you never knew what you were going to see in the airport. And now, of course, TSA is there, but the Austin airport is amazing. And they are getting ready to add nonstop flights to Asia, which,
Oh, wow.
I mean, the growth at the airport alone will just blow your mind. And that's not including all the other things that are going on in Austin.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna be fantastic. I know I mean, in McKinney, they're building an airport as well, which is a suburb about 30 miles out of
Yes.
Dallas. So, if you're moving here, you can rest assured these roads are going to be wider,
Yep.
and the buildings are going up. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience with Texas. I'd like to shift specifically to Austin. Share
Okay.
with me what makes Austin a great place to live.
Wow. What makes Austin a great place to live? There are so many things. I've said for a long time it's the garden spot of the state. Um, it is very diverse. You can be, and now we have this whole little culture of downtown Austin that we didn't have for a long time, which is high rise living and walkability. There's all kinds of restaurants, and you have that kind of a Second Street area, and then you have all of this South Congress, which is one of my favorite places to eat and shop. And then you can go out to the hill country. And now we have a booming winery business. And an hour from Austin, you can be in the heart of Texas wine country. And there is what used to be a stretch of 45 miles from Johnson City to Fredericksburg is now one winery after another. So you have that whole culture. We have the film industry coming here.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
lots of filming going on around the city. Um, I think the University of Texas is here, which we don't have any professional athletic teams, but we have the University of Texas, and and of course we have a FIFA team here as well. But we have all of that while still being an hour from San Antonio, which is amazing. Remember the Alamo.
Oh, yeah.
We're 2 or 3 hours from Dallas and all that Dallas has to offer and all that Fort Worth has to offer. But we're unique, I think, in the whole city. I mean, in the whole state. You won't find anything like Austin anywhere else. And I know you can probably say that about other places, but I really feel that we're unique in that. And I've thought it always. I wanted to live here from the time I was a little girl, and I got to do it and watch it change. I think we're highly educated. I think there are so many opportunities here, and there are so many entrepreneurs in Austin, Texas, and so many self-made millionaires in Austin, Texas. We have the most beautiful waterways ever. We're part of the chain of lakes, which is controlled by the Lower Colorado River Authority. And right now the lakes are full. Unfortunately, it takes flood situations to get them that way. But at the same time, they are so, so gorgeous. And each lake has its own personality and its own price range too. So why would you move to Austin? Well, because it's just the best. The music scene here is incredible. We have Austin City
Oh,
Limits.
the restaurants.
The restaurants are amazing. My favorite is, Old Austin, Jeffries, in Clarksville, one of my very favorite neighborhoods. And, just why wouldn't you want to live here? is probably a better question.
And one thing I'm going to add, you talked about millionaires. Well, you get to keep more of your money here too,
Yes,
with no state income tax. So
exactly, exactly. And that is a draw to the whole state.
big time. Well, you have been in Austin for a long time, and there's one place that you didn't mention that I thought you would. Tell me about what I'm guessing might be your favorite, absolute favorite place in Austin, the Paramount Theater, and tell me about the work you have done there.
Well, so I went to the Paramount Theater in college to see movies, and it fell into disrepair, kind of became a B film movie house. And then a man came in and restored it, and then it fell into disrepair again. Texas Commerce Bank, there was a note on it. I think it was $150,000. And, you know, 30, 40 years ago, that was more money than it is today. But at any rate, um, so I just fell in love with that building, and mainly because of the people that I met there. I was president of the volunteer group, and we used to do this show called A Taste of Texas Toast. And for $50, you could be on stage at the Paramount Theater. And this couple came in and they wrote it, and it was songs to, the words were changed to all popular songs. And we invited all these kind of, quote, local celebrities to be in it. Well, out of that grew great friendships. And out of my work with the volunteer committee, I got invited to the board of directors. And saving the building became a passion. And the board of directors, prior to my being on it, the financial situation got so bad that they asked the board of directors to each put up a letter of credit. And when you could either choose, if they called them, you lost that money, or you could take the option that when the theater was viable again, you would get your money paid back. And the six of us that I talked about, we managed to be able to pay. There were two directors that wanted their money back, and we were able to hand them a check back for that and help get the theater on its feet. You know, the theater, I love New York theater. My degree is in theater. It's just my favorite place in the world. I made sure all of my kids know about theater, because even if you aren't on stage, you need to understand what fine arts are, and you need to be
Yeah.
appreciative of that, and need to understand that there's something besides a football game to go to.
Right.
And I have two granddaughters. I helped start Camp Paramount, and it started out, we were going to, Missoula Children's Theater Company came in for a month, and it started out, we was going to be an outreach to underprivileged children. It became much more than that so quickly. And so today it is, they do a show, I think it's a 2-week camp. My son said that when they let go of the entry at 10 o'clock on a specific morning, you better have your finger on the send button or you will not get in. And
Wow.
both my granddaughters have been, and I couldn't be more proud to see that legacy going on, because that was truly something I wanted to make sure endured. And
Yeah.
this year I went to the gala. They closed down Congress Avenue. The gala was out in the middle of the street. And in true Austin fashion, this would only happen in Austin. The Willie Nelson's son played Lucas, and he was amazing. But the attire was 70s road trip. And I was like, what do you wear on a 70s road trip? So I Googled it, and everybody showed up in bell bottoms and big glasses. I mean, and I did too. And there was, the disco side of it. It was so fun. And Austin comes out big time for stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that theater only holds 1,250 people. And so you were up close and personal. And Lucas Nelson sang his heart out. He is his daddy's son.
Oh, that's incredible.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And I will tell you, that's another thing about Austin that makes this so unique is, Willie Nelson is here. I mean, he's out at his
Oh,
ranch
wow.
at the time, but he is here. And somebody I saw today in the paper is doing the documentary on Armadillo World Headquarters. Well, I went there in college,
Uh-huh.
and we saw BB King and all these people that are icons now that we were like, oh yeah, BB King's playing, blah, blah, blah. And now it's
Yeah,
not a big deal.
right.
Um, and Willie Nelson played at the opening of the bank that I worked at when I got out of college. And he came and played for like 4 hours, and it was all the beer, barbecue, and Willie Nelson you could stand. And it was fabulous.
That sounds amazing.
It was amazing. It was amazing to sit at his feet and hear Whiskey River Take Me Home at least 5 times when you're
Wow.
21 years old is the best.
That's incredible. Well, next up, Camille, I would love to get into some of your insights based on your incredible career. But first, let's take a moment to hear a message from our sponsor, Sphere
Business
Rock.
owners and entrepreneurs will place a proven executive assistant VA for just $4 to $8 an hour, and if they don't perform, you don't pay. Imagine freeing up 20 plus hours a week by someone handling your most time-consuming tasks like admin work, managing emails, scheduling meetings, and so much more. This one hire could transform your productivity and give you back the time you need to focus on growing your business. At Sphere Rocket VA, we make this possible in as little as 7 days. We'll place a proven executive assistant VA in your business for just $4 to $8 an hour, and your VA will take over day-to-day administrative tasks, help manage your email and calendar, follow up with past clients, giving you back 20 plus hours a week so you can increase your sales and even enjoy more personal time. And here's the best part. If they don't give you back 20 plus hours a week in the first month, you don't pay Sphere Rocket a dime. We've done this for thousands of business owners, and now it's your turn to see the results. Click the link around this video to schedule a demo and discover how this one hire can completely change how you run your business. Remember, if within 45 days the VA doesn't perform, you don't pay.
All right, Camille, so you have had this long and incredible career in real estate. And, really the theme of this show is helping listeners understand what successful business people have done that has really created leverage in their business, created a multiplier effect, generating success. If you were to put your finger on one thing, what is something that has really helped you find success in your business?
I think I learned a long time ago about being positive and positive attitude. I have, when I get up in the morning, I read something that is, I don't want to say it's business oriented, but it's about being positive. I don't think you can be in the real estate business and not be a positive person, because it is a true journey. In the years that I've been in the business, I've been through 4 or 5 downturns, one COVID, where the business was just upended. When I started in the business, I left a teaching career and didn't know anything about it. Just knew that, it looked like something I thought might be kind of fun. And it's certainly been a more than wild ride. I think if this is something that you want to do, you need to be prepared for there's going to be some ups and downs. You need to run your business like a business. You can no longer can you be the housewife that, sells a house or 2 a year. The business is fraught with legalities. And I think that my getting up every morning and putting a smile on my face and finding the positive side of things is key to success. I also think that I was very blessed in that the brokers that I worked for were very education oriented, because the real estate business changes on a dime. And July 1st, we just put all new contracts into play. And I'm sure everyone's aware of the big NAR lawsuit and how that changed the face of real estate. So you just gotta keep stepping. The old story about no hill for a stepper. You got to be a stepper, and you got to enjoy stepping while you do. And you've got to, it's so much easier to be forthright with someone. And you may not always say what they want to hear, but it's so important that you do that to make sure that they understand what they are doing, because you're dealing with probably their most single um, uh, biggest asset they own or they're purchasing. Regardless of what the price range is, it's the biggest purchase most people make. And some are scared, some think they know everything, but they don't. And so, but I think positive attitude has kept me in the business. And then also, I'm pretty much, don't throw down a gauntlet because I will pick it up and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you tell me I can't, when I left teaching, this is kind of funny. I've taught in a portable building, and the teacher next to me, the last day of school, went, "You're going to be back," and I was like, "Oh!" And all my students went, "Ms. Abbott, Ms. Abbott, we know you're not going to be back. We know you're going to be very good at this. You're going to be a success." And I was like, "Well, hide and watch." And so I kind of take that attitude, and it's served me well. Being willing to learn and really enjoying learning, enjoying all those classes,
Yeah.
enjoying learning from other people. That is what's kept me in the business and kept me alive.
That's such great advice, and another thing about positivity is people are attracted to positivity, right? And so when you're, especially in the real estate business, you're trying to connect with people, you want to be top of mind with people, right? And so when you have that positive mindset, people are going to be attracted to and looking forward to connecting with you as well, right?
Yes. And I also think you got to be able to laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
I love humor. But I think you got to be able to laugh at yourself. And I think you got to have both feet on the ground. I mean, we're not all of the stuff you see. I mean, we're human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you, I get up in the morning and want the best for my family, for me. And so you got to keep that in mind. And I think you have to be able to empathize with people and understand that you may not think so, but buying and selling real estate is the most stressful time in anyone's life because it's change.
Oh, yeah.
And you, as the realtor, have got to facilitate that change in the least stressful situation possible, which is not always, you got people in and out of your house, you got people wanting repairs, you got this, you got that. And sometimes you just go, I can't do this. And so that's where if your realtor's holding your hand, they'll get you through all of it. And doing it with a little bit of humor and remembering, we're not an archangel. We don't walk on water. We're a realtor. And it is a business, and we are facilitating something for our clients that means a lot to them financially and emotionally.
That's very well said. Now, to take the other side of that coin, I love talking about success.
Uh-huh.
But as it turns out, it's often the failures or what feels like a failure that teach us the greatest lessons. Take us back and share what was something that maybe felt like a failure at the time, but taught you one of the most important lessons you've learned.
Well, I think that everything happens for a reason. And I do think that if you haven't had some failure, you probably don't know as much as you could know. But I went to work for a company, this has been years ago, and she wanted to expand out to another part of town. And that area was kind of the new frontier. And the other people in the office really weren't big on that happening, but I said, I'll do that. And so I went out, opened a new office, and I was I was the top producer. I was the broker of record. I was the office manager. I was the person that listened to everybody's problems. I ran the meetings. I was everything.
Yeah.
And so then she brought on a partner to help me, which was a great thing because he took over the things that I was not so good at, but my plate was really full. And she had always promised me that if this got to be too much, I could come back in town. Well, after 3 years, I went, I can't do this. And so I gave it up, went back in town, and faced an office that was a bit hostile towards me because I had stepped out and done something different. And I wound up going to another great company, outstanding, and which became Cooper Sotheby's. But through all of that, um, I learned that, I wasn't part of the mold. And
Mm.
I learned that what now, that part of the world, which was Lake Travis, and when I came back in town, I could walk the walk and talk the talk. And I all of a sudden knew about an area that a lot of people were just beginning to learn about. And I learned that selling the waterfront on Lake Travis is very different from selling the waterfront on Lake Austin. And
Ah,
I learned about pool level and contours and what the flood level is and what happens in this part of town and why this house on this side of the street that looks at the lake is worth more than the one on the other side of the lake street that doesn't. And I all of a sudden knew about a whole new world that right now is booming. And
yeah.
so that was a little turn that took me to one of the oldest companies in Austin, driven by an iconic broker. And once you go there, people don't leave. And I still work with those ladies today. And Jay Cooper bought Amelia Bullock Realtors because of the culture in that company matched the culture in the company that his grandmother had built.
Mm.
And I'm very proud to say that because I think that Texas has a rich heritage. I think I'm very proud of my heritage, and the companies that I have worked for, I feel like are heritage brokers. And that all comes together for me, and I am very proud of that. And I also think that I am very privileged that I found all of that. I took some right and left turns and didn't get to a straight line there, but I don't think that you become successful if you haven't failed and learned something. You're always, just read John Maxwell's book, Failing Forward,
Hmm.
and you are always failing forward, because if you only are successful, you're probably going to miss out on something.
That's very well said. Yeah,
It's like
that's a great
riding
way
a
to
horse.
view.
You know, I had this horse that he was going to, whatever I did wrong, he was going to go, I got you. I'm going to fix this for you. And
Uh-huh.
so one day I fell off. It was no big deal. I fell off and he went ahead and cut the cow, and he came back. And I remember looking at me like, what are you doing down there? I cut the cow for you. You need to get back on. Let's go again.
Yeah,
And I think that if you don't have those moments, you might not be as successful as you could have been.
that's very well said. I've got just a couple more questions for you
Sure.
here, and you've had such an impact on so many people and on the city of Austin. Share a little bit of what do you hope that people remember about what you've built and the impact that you're having?
Well, I'm hoping my granddaughter wants to come to work for me, and I'm hoping I leave a legacy real estate group under the umbrella of Cooper Sotheby's. Um, I hope people remember me for um, being truthful and kind and a sense of humor
Mhm.
and truly caring about the city of Austin. And they'll remember how much I loved the Paramount Theatre.
I love that. And final question for you, Camille, is those who are watching and listening, if they're thinking, hey, this lady knows a whole lot about real estate. She's, got this positive mindset. She loves to laugh and she's going to shoot me straight. Um, how can I get in touch with Camille Abbott?
Well, you can Google me, of course, but you can reach out at camille.abbott@sotheby'srealty.com. And that'll get you all the places you need to go. My phone number will be on there. You can email me, and I'm happy to talk to you and schedule a time to talk, so that we're all kind of focused like we were today. But I'm happy to visit with anyone and welcome it. And even if you just have a question, I'm happy to answer it.
That's fantastic. Well, Camille, it was so wonderful speaking with you today, talking all about Texas and learning about real estate and the insights that have produced an incredibly successful career for you. Thank you for joining me today on the Leverage Podcast.
Thank you so much, John.